I was trying too hard to be an expert in real estate when in reality I wasn't.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Curiosity Class. Today, we are joined by the one and only Gabe Einhorn. Gabe, thanks so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Of course, thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it. Jeff was very persistent, and I respect the hustle. It's been a crazy couple weeks, and I've been pretty late responding to a lot of people and just trying to get back to them and figure out my schedule. But Jeff had the hustle, and I respect it because that's what I do too. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Game recognized game, man. You're all over the place. I see you everywhere. I think for those who don't know you, like you're blowing up on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, like everywhere. And I feel like you were very intentional with that. So like, can you walk me through, like, you've talked a lot about like the 52 weeks of posting. I think you're at 62 weeks now.
Yeah.
What was the decision? Like when you went back 62 weeks ago, what were you like, all right, I want to do this? Like why the drive at all?
Yeah. So I started posting about a year and a half ago. I was a broker here in New York City doing commercial real estate lending. And, I was doing it for a couple of years, having a hard time the first year or so closing any deals. I didn't know much. I was 21, 22 at the time. I couldn't find any leverage or way up. Every time I spoke to someone, they're like, you're too young. You don't know what you're doing. I've been working for longer than you've been alive. All these different reasons why I couldn't get any deals. And I'm like, where can I find some sort of leverage that I can get above these guys who have been working for longer than me? And I just went for it, and I was like, let me just post on LinkedIn and see what happens. And I was like, I'm going to give it a full 12 months. It was a big commitment at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to do 12 months of posting. I never posted before on there. I'm like, 12 months straight. Let's see what happens. And first 4 months was pretty bad. Not much going on, not much engagement. And a lot of my posts were just pretty bad too. Very cringy. But eventually I started analyzing it and actually looking at what was working and what's not. You can't just post and not actually look at the numbers and see what's working and what's not working, because then you'll never improve. That's the only way to improve, is actually be honest and analyze yourself. And I saw, I was trying too hard to be an expert in real estate when in reality I wasn't, right? I was, only in it for 2-3 years. I was 23 at the time. And I was like, I could focus this on a different way, maybe as like a younger person who's trying to learn, who's trying to break into the game, being more myself, talking about sports and other things that I like to do, my faith. And then it started blowing up, and I started really being myself, and people were able to connect with that and be like, wow, this kid's not trying to fake it, he's not trying to be somebody he's not, he's just being himself. And people were attracted to that. And a year and a half later, we started now posting on Instagram and TikTok, and now I'm just everywhere. And the goal now is, obviously, I started my company. And when you start a company, you realize you got to do whatever it takes to make sure that every person knows what your company is. And a good way to do that is social media, because it's free. When you're bootstrapping a startup, you don't have a lot of money, and you got to figure out creative ways to do that. And social media is a free marketing tool. So if I could figure out how to make that work and ensure that millions of people know who I am and what I do, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it grow and make sure it works.
Totally. How do you think about, because I think definitely when you watch your videos, the thing that comes through 100% more than anything is your authenticity, right? Like it feels like you're like, I don't know, like we're strangers, we don't know each other, but like by watching videos, I'm like, oh, like I feel like I know you a little bit more. How do you balance that authenticity part that you said was like super key to the growth with like you're analyzing the numbers? You're like, oh man, like this post that felt really authentic when I made it just didn't perform. Like, do you ever run into that issue of like, how do you balance being your authentic self and also like you said, you want it to grow? So how do you think about that too?
For sure. It's a great question. And sometimes I'm sure you've seen it. And anybody who posts on social media consistently has seen that they have a really good idea. They spend a lot of time on a post, and for some reason that one flops, and a post that you take 5 seconds and don't really care about ends up, doubling, tripling the amount of numbers. And there's no like rhyme or reason to it. I think sometimes when we overthink it too much and we try to, make it too perfect or be too authentic, then it ends up not being authentic and it doesn't work. So like I've seen some of my best posts have been ones that I came up with the idea on the fly. I'm like, oh my God, like that's a sick idea. I'll type it up on the spot. I won't even like spell check or anything. It might even have like a couple of mistakes in it, but it ends up doing the best. So sometimes that's like the really, really, really authentic stuff that does the best. Um, but it's hard, and you got to analyze not just one post, it's hundreds, thousands of posts, so you could see really what works and what doesn't work. Not every authentic post is going to work. Not every professional post is going to work. It's going to be a balance of it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I'm sure you're probably helping a bunch of people now, like with the content creation, like specifically for social media, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to balance everything. It's, you're balancing social media with building a company. My goal and my role within my company is more on the marketing and sales side of things. And I view this as, a propeller of all that.
Totally. 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 Yeah, dude. So let's talk about the company. So you were a broker. You were like, okay, there's a big problem. What was that problem? And then like, how did you start thinking about the solution?
For sure. So it happened actually, me and my brother, who's a rising senior now. At the time, he was a rising junior last summer at NYU in New York City. And he was going through the rental process. I was going through the rental process. And we just saw so many problems within the process. And we just sat down for a couple of days and we're like, let's figure out a solution. Let's build something for it, because I was already bored of being a broker and I was looking for my next opportunity. My brother's entrepreneurial and he's in school, but he, felt the problem and he dealt with it. And he's like, we got to do something about it. And we sat down and we measured all the problems. We started building, and throughout the months, we started expanding and pivoting and getting more feedback and testing it. And now we've arrived to where we are now. We haven't officially launched it yet, but we are changing our name to really include the entire goal of the company. We're not just doing verification anymore. That's what we launched
Okay.
about 3, 4 months ago. We've been working in New York, New Jersey, and Atlanta, but now we're really launching our full marketplace, which is actually pre-verified renters that get matchmade to landlords. So it's like a dating app for renting and landlords. We're flipping the whole script of the listing process, and the goal is to help renters find apartments faster, ones that they can actually afford and that they love, and for landlords to fill up those vacancies faster and more efficiently.
Dude, it's so epic. It's so cool. I was like playing around with, I did like a deep dive into Claude yesterday and I was just like, search all of the real estate forums and all like everything on Reddit you can find and just like find the biggest problems real estate investors have. And the number one thing it came back was like tenant verification. And I was like, dude, I didn't prompt this at all, but like this is really sick for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I was like, Gabe's already on it.
Let's go. Let's go.
How I had a question like how do you what's the monetization strategy like how do you see yourself as like you take a percentage of both sides of the transaction or like what's the how do you monetize this?
So our vision right now is $20 one time for the renter. That
Okay.
lasts for about 25 days. The goal is that in New York City, for example, it's $20 per application. Our goal is that instead of you paying that 10, 20 times, you pay it once. It's good for 25 days. And that includes your income identity verification, background, credit, and 25 days is how long it lasts until it's fresh. After 25 days, you got to renew it so it's actually up to date.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's like a minimal fee, but obviously at scale, that means a lot more. And for the landlord, we have two different structures depending on the landlord or broker that we're working with. We're working with a lot of leasing brokers because in New York City, mostly brokers actually handle all of the tenant application process, and it's either a per listing fee. So like what they have for Zillow, apartments.com, we charge them, a, a quarter of whatever the price is. Normally on those, we want to be a much less expensive solution. So some people are doing that. Other people are doing a success fee. So it's like a referral fee. So we would get a fixed fee based on what we work out with that specific landlord or broker. Every time the tenant actually signs, we would get not a broker fee because we wouldn't be the broker in the transaction, but just some sort of referral fee, which is just a fixed amount of money per transaction.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. And who like between you and your brother because you guys are the two co-founders, right? You and
Yes, sir.
so is one of you like the technical side or did you like outsource the technical stuff? Like how did you do like the because data is like you're dealing with some pretty serious information.
Yeah. Neither of us are technical, actually. My brother's definitely stepped more into that role. And he spent so much time. He's a genius. He's really smart. He's in NYU, Stern, the business school. So he was able to learn most of this coding stuff pretty quickly. Obviously, now with AI, it's easier than ever. And we built out an in-house team here in New York and New Jersey that my brother's been just working with 24/7. People that are actually like really, really efficient with legit coding, not just
Yeah.
like cloud code and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my brother's basically just been orchestrating them and building everything out.
Dude, that's awesome. Where do you want to go with it? Like, what is your, I don't know, think like 3, 5, 10 years? Like, where do you want to go with it?
Yeah, the goal is to basically take over the entire New York City market and then expand nationwide and be in every single rental transaction across the board.
That's amazing, dude. And then what? I guess I would ask.
Um, let's see. I mean, there's a bunch of different things to do. There's obviously markets. I've spoken to people in Canada and Israel and other places that face similar problems. So it's like you could expand international or you expand into other sectors. I've spoken with commercial brokers and sales brokers, and a lot of them still face similar situations with verifications, with fraud, with time wasting of people that aren't legit, no matter what the transaction is. So if we can then expand into those other markets, the whole goal of our process is essentially you have a pre-verified person in the transaction, right?
Hmm.
Right now it's renters, but it, like in the future, it just could be anyone in general that is looking to purchase something or be involved in a transaction. They would be pre-verified. So we understand that they are who they say they are and they make the amount of money that they say they make. And we've done all their due diligence, all their checks. So we know that they're, clean and they're not a criminal. And they're not a bad person, whatever that is. And then with our AI, we actually learn what they're looking for. So if renting, for example, not only do we know that they want to live in Manhattan, we know that they work on 33rd Street and they have a family. So they like to go to the park and they eat kosher. So our AI learns all of that stuff to help them actually find the best location that they can afford, but that they also want to live in and they're surrounded in the best environment for themselves. So that obviously could expand into someone who wants to buy a house or buy a car or anything. Like there's unlimited things. Like we don't have one set thing of where this takes us next, but we understand there's a lot of potentials.
Totally. Do you think in like in this phase, like, because I have no doubt, like you guys are going to be extremely successful. So it's not like if, it's when you guys grow to whatever size you want to grow. Like, do you have aspirations? Like, I guess I want to understand like what motivates you, like what drives you. Is it like, I think a lot of people would say like, I want to grow it and then I want to sell it. I want to have a big, big exit, right? Um, so like, does that drive you? Does like the feeling of just like building something big that out loud, like what motivates you? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like an exit down the future, like you'd be lying if you said you're not looking for one potentially.
Totally,
Uh,
totally.
but for us, like I love building with my brother, and I think we have this vision of like we want to build something great and successful, and like we view the vision of success with millions of users as like that's our goal. It's like we want millions of people using our platform, and we want to also have these numbers of we helped X landlord save 500,000, $500,000. We helped these tenants find an apartment half the time faster. Like all these metrics that just show the success, like in 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the line, we want to be sitting back and being like, wow, we came from zero to here.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. You said the platform's only been up for 4 months?
So we launched in February the verification platform. So
Okay,
that was
okay.
screening. That was live February, March, April, May time. And then like around end of May, we put it on pause for the verification process. And then obviously we went through the whole anti-Semitic situation, which was the last 5, 6 weeks. So
Yeah,
we paused everything because we wanted to rebrand anyways to expand into this full marketplace.
okay.
Well, obviously, we viewed this crazy situation as like, a sign from God that it's time to make that rebrand and take a step back, really build everything properly so that we can come out of it and, launch with our new name, with our new evolved product. And hopefully, the goal is we're launching that in the next couple of days with our first couple of landlords that we're piloting with here in New York City. And
Okay.
then we take it, to the world.
That's so cool, dude. Yeah, all right. I think everyone probably at this point knows about what happened, but like, yeah, what was that like just going through it from your perspective? Like you want to just give people like a high level breakdown?
Yeah, it was crazy. So obviously the situation was we were hiring this summer for summer interns, and my brother, who's also a college student, was hiring a lot of college students, and he posted it on Handshake, and a kid applied. He was interested, and my brother was trying to coordinate times with everybody, and then the kid ended up responding that he's not interested in working for a Jew. Obviously, me and my brother are Jewish. I don't hide it at all. I never have. Um, and that was kind of crazy. I posted about it on X. I had like 1,000 followers on the time. So I was just like, okay, like I'm going to post that on X, maybe a couple thousand people will see it, nothing crazy. And all of a sudden it blew up into an international thing. Fox News had us on, millions of people saw it. We were on Israeli news and all this like crazy New York Post, and it kind of just blew up like crazy. We had a lot of support. And then after like 1, 2 days, all the anti-Semites started flooding in from everywhere. And I've heard that there's like all these bots that get sent that, you know, cause this destruction. I never really faced it like this or knew it. But then next thing we know, I'm getting flooded on all platforms with threats, leaking my information, my family's information, our addresses, all this stuff. And it really like exploded like with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these threats. So it was scary for about like 3 weeks, like every platform, emails, social media. My family's business in New Jersey was getting thousands of phone calls daily with threats. So like it was crazy. Thank God a lot of really cool Jewish people and non-Jewish people reached out to support. And one advice that they said was that the hate is really loud at the time, but it will die over in 2, 3 weeks. Sean
Mm-hmm.
McGuire, who's a really big Jew and investor, one of the main investors in SpaceX, he called me like one of the first days, and he's like, "I promise, like in 3 weeks, it'll be gone, and you'll be left with just the positive of it." And 3 weeks later, I texted him that things basically died down, and you know now it's time to move forward.
Dude, that's so crazy. I don't know, like if was this your first encounter in real life with anti-Semitism, like up close and personal?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like I faced a couple things. Obviously, I walk around New York City, I wear my kippah. I've gotten my fair share of special words that people have said uh,
Mm-hmm.
on the streets. Nothing crazy. A couple weeks before this situation, I had like my first real situation, which wasn't like terrible, but like I was doing street interviews, talking to people about New York City renting, and I wear my kippah. I walked up to these three college kids, and I was like, "You guys want to do an interview talking about rent?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, let's start." So I start talking to the first kid, and all of a sudden, his two friends behind him start grabbing him. "Yo, we gotta go look at this kid's head. Like, we can't talk to him. Let's go." And I was like, "Bro, what?" Like, and they're like, they're dragging his friend away. His friend like doesn't even know what they're talking about, and they pull him away and they just run away. And I was just like, I got it on video too. I didn't post it or anything, but I just wrote about it on X, and I was like, this just happened. Like people try to say that anti-Semitism isn't real, and you have these, three 20-something-year-old kids that probably saw that Jews are evil on social media or something, and they
Mm-hmm.
they saw me in person, and they're like, "Yo, we can't talk to this guy," and like
Yeah.
it was insane. So that was probably like the first thing that ever happened.
Dude, that's nuts. What I know you said like I'm sure the last couple weeks have been some of the craziest times ever, but like now looking back, like what are the lessons that you're taking with you going forward? Like how do you seem like a very positive person, so I imagine you're not like ruminating too much, but like yeah, what are the positives you take from it?
Yeah, I would say like the strength of Jewish people in the community. When things get tough, it's cool to see how strong we come together and how people are
Mhm.
willing to reach out to support and help even people that never met me before. And I would say also just a general thing is that hate is louder than the love usually, but it doesn't mean that the love isn't there, and doesn't mean that there's not more love. It's just that the hate always amplifies itself and it usually takes over because it's just so easy to spread. Um,
Mhm.
but like my message that I spoke to a lot of people about and I'm trying to spread now is that I don't want, young Jewish kids to see this story and be afraid and be like, "Oh, like this kid was attacked, because he's Jewish and because he stood up for being Jewish. So I don't want this to happen to me." No, I want people to see all the positive that came from it, all the business opportunities that we got, all the cool relationships and support that we got. And I want to be more proud than ever before. So people be like, "Wait, like this kid was attacked for 2, 3 weeks, like crazy, threatened with his family, and yet he's still walking around the streets in New York City with his kippah and talking about how proud he is to be Jewish. Like maybe I should be that too." Like that's
Yeah.
really my goal of it,
Yeah. That's super cool, man. That's super cool. That's very, very respectable and very admirable, and, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but it seems like you got the best case outcome with going through a hard thing.
for sure, for sure.
So now what's next? You said you're rebuilding the platform and like going to be launching in a couple days here. Where can people like find out more and follow along?
Yeah, I mean, I post most things on social media, so as long as you follow me anywhere on social media, you'll probably stay up to date. We're working on like the full launch soon of like actually announcing the name change and all this stuff. So I'll keep the world posted on when that's going to launch, and I'll let people know what the name is when we do launch it, the new logo, and when it's fully live for everybody. And that's the goal right now, is to just build, to get more clients on board and launch it live in New York City. And once we take over New York City, we got to figure out which city we're going to next.
That's amazing, man. Who are the like social media people you look up to? Like who are the people that you were like, oh man, like I want to be like them?
Gary Vee is my number one for sure. And I actually got to meet him this past Friday for the second time. But this was like the first time I actually got to talk to him and do an interview and video with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely my number one because I listened to him last year, like a year and a half ago before I started posting. And I remember he said something around like LinkedIn being like the last untapped social media market, like where there's still a lot of opportunity to grow in there. And when he said that, I was like, okay, I got to go for it. Like I missed the boat on all these other platforms that I wasn't posting on. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
if LinkedIn is still, some room left for me to get involved, I'm going to go for it. And I just remember him saying like, you just got to post and post and post. And I've stuck to that. And now I'm posting a lot more than I ever would have thought. But thank God it's working. So Gary Vee is definitely my number one.
That's so cool, dude. Do you ever like like this phrase like you never want to meet your heroes?
Yeah.
Like how do you think about like obviously there's people you want to look up to and respect, but then everyone's human, so like no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Um, like how do you think about like balancing that? Not with Gary individually, but like with people that you admire and look up to, and then balancing with like, oh, but they're also human. So like I don't want to be like them entirely, but I want to be like a little bit of them.
Yeah, I think like one thing a lot of people talk about is like you don't want to be the next somebody. You want to be yourself. You could
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
utilize the Gary V's and the Lionel Messi, like all these people that I look up to. Like I could use them and use the good parts about them that I want to implement in my life. But like I don't want to be the next Gary V. I want to be Gabe Einhorn, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to utilize some of the tips and advice that Gary V talks about and the things that he does that I admire and implement that into my own life to be the best Gabe Einhorn I could be.
Totally. Totally. Dude, you're a beast. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
brother.
for coming on here, man. I appreciate you.
For sure. I appreciate you having me.
If someone's looking to they hear this and like, man, Gabe's awesome. I wanna help him. I wanna send him someone. Like what are you looking for? What would be helpful for you right now in this kind of season of life as you guys are as like about to launch?
That's a great question. And I appreciate you asking that. Landlords or brokers in New York City, we definitely want to be connected with. We're looking for a couple more to build around, um, you know, in real time, like real feedback and really, give them a product that will help them as much as possible. So we're working with a couple now and we're looking for a few more that really want to work with us and show us, their process and how we can help them as much as possible so we can build the best product for them. But that will also be helpful for the world of real estate to come. That's pretty big. And then, we're looking for a couple cool real estate people that are very experienced, very successful that might want to join, our board of advisors or something like that. Because we have a couple really cool ones that have reached out and we're looking for a couple more that want to support us and guide us because, we're still young and we got a lot more to learn. And we understand that we're not the most experienced in a lot of these rooms and we're not the most knowledgeable yet in these rooms too. We still have a lot to learn in real estate and tech and money investing. So looking for a couple more that want to come on board and guide us.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll link to all your socials in the show notes and description. And thank you again for being here, man. You're awesome.
Of course, brother. Thanks for having me.
100%. Bye, everybody.